Welcome back. We'll continue our journey of the hands-on sessions in aggregations with very simple yet powerful functions like first and last, min and mag, sum and sum distinct, and average. Let's get started. We can use the same data frame what we have created for count and count distinct. Our data frame here is df retail. We'll use the same thing now. If you have not created this data frame, please go ahead and create it. And one more thing what we got to remember is we got to import those functions. What are the functions we have to import? We are practicing first, last, min, and max. Let's import them. Done. How do we get the first? One important aspect I want to tell you is once you know how to use one aggregation function, all other aggregation functions are little bit extension of that, more or less same. Here instead of count, replace that with first and last. So what I will do here is I'll say the first on this and execute this. First in the quantity is 48. So if you want to check that, what you can do is retail.show and you can see the first in the quantity is 48. You can play around with other column names also. For example, you want to get which is the first stock code. Go ahead and update this to the stock code. Here in this case, we are looking at the data. Sometimes you want to use this whole thing as a part of any analysis, any engineering jobs. You can see the first star code is 23084. There it is. How do we use the last function? Replace first with the last here. That should give you the last one. All of these things are pretty simple. That's the reason I'm just moving at a faster pace. Yeah, the last start code in this data frame is 22168. The next couple of functions are sum and sum distinct. Usually it makes sense to use the sum and sum distinct only in the numerical values. We'll use it on a quantity column only. Here what we got to do is say sum you can do here, you can say sum distinct, but you got to import them. Let us import them. Now execute this, both of them. There some wow, this is the sum of all the values in a quantity column. If you want to get the summation of distinct values in the quantity column, you can do that also. You can see it, right? This is the sum of the distinct values in a quantity column. Wonderful. One more ways, if you want to combine them, I don't want to write a separate code or separate line for sum and some quantity. You can do that also. What you can do is you can combine this guy here. That should also take care of calculating both of them at the same time. There you go. We're calculating both sum and subdistinct at the same time in the single statement. The last one in this lecture is average. How do we compute the average? Very simple. What you can do is you can say average here. Again, we got to import this function. Remember to import that. I'll import a couple of other functions also because I want to show you something in the next. It is going to get the average of all the quantity. When I say average, it will make a summation of all the values in a quantity column and divide that sum with the number of records. We're getting an average as 9.5522. Last thing what I will do is let us try to put all the things what we have learned together and start building some complex statements. How do we do it? Let's do that. I'll show you now. Pay attention and be with me. You'll be able to do so. With only one or two lines, I will create some 7 to 8 lines of code. So what I want to say is df retail, and I'm selecting. Now I will go ahead and count the quantity, okay, and then alias it to create a column called total transactions. Total transactions. I will copy this guy and see with properly, if you know one line, you can go ahead and create multiple lines of code from the same thing. Instead of count here, go ahead and say sum and alias that to sum of the transactions instead of sum of the transactions. That's same, it is sum. Then calculate the average and make it as a average of transactions. Instead of calculating all these things, use a expression. You know how to use expression already. We have already discussed about this. XPR, and go ahead and use a mean also. Remember, whenever we are using an expression, we got to provide the expression as a part of the two quotes. Pay attention how I am using them. Now I will go ahead and use a select expression. Just observe what I am trying to do here. Ensure that you have done everything right. What we have done is we have built the multiple statements with simple things, whatever we have learned so far. Whenever you want to build, let us say count is an aggregation. I'm using that on a column quantity. Here I'm aliasing that to total transaction. That means I'm saving this as a new column called total transactions. And I'm doing some average. But here I'm using a expression to calculate the mean, right? After that, by using a select expression, I'm doing some computation also. Remember, we can do computations inside the expression. Here I'm selecting and also computing the average. I already have computed an average by using an average function, and I have used a mean to get the mean purchases, and I'm calculating the average by dividing the sum of the transactions with the total transactions. Let's execute this. There you go. You can see all of them are same because we just wanted to demonstrate all of them can be calculated in a different way by using the different ways of selecting computing in PySpark. Awesome. Please practice this without fail. Thank you.